Hi, welcome to Handmade Happy Hour. My name's Kathy Fillion, and today I'm going to show you 25 Easter decor crafts. Let's get started with some Dollar Tree ideas. Take a look at this gorgeous color palette. I love these salmony orange colors mixed in with those greens. Those wood shapes are from Dollar Tree. The gold bunnies are from Target Dollar Spot, and I'm doing some upcycled jars. Let's start by painting the lids of our jars with some chalk paint. I'm going to do napkin decoupage on the lid. So I'm adding my Mod Podge to the lid, and then I'm going to add the napkin on top of that. And that's just the single printed ply of the napkin. I separated those plies. You can see I press down with my fingers, and once it's a little bit dry, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the edges, leaving extra there, and I'm wrapping that to the sides, adding more Mod Podge as I go, and a little bit more Mod Podge on the inside there to wrap that napkin all the way in the inside. Next, I'm adding some shred. You could use any kind of little grass that you want here, and I'm going to fill up my treat jar with some of these speckled eggs. Reattaching that lid. You could really do this for any season, but I love this for Easter. Now there's my little Target Dollar Spot bunny. Let's hot glue that to the top. You could use some heavy duty glue here too. Go ahead and glue that down, and then it's as easy as topping it off with a little ribbon or a tag hanging there. Look how sweet that is from an upcycled jar. Now here's another jar idea. This is making a little terrarium. This is from Dollar Tree also, that little base. I chalk painted it, and then I'm painting it with this salmon colored folk art paint. I did another lid, did a decoupage lid. I'm adding a cork there just to add some height to my little rabbit. So hot gluing that in place, hot gluing the rabbit to the cork, and then I'll add some more of that shred along the base of that to hide that cork. You could wrap that with ribbon or add green grass if you wanted to. This is really just an idea, but you do you. I'm gonna go ahead and add that lid back to the jar, making sure I get all of those little pieces tucked in. You could also trim those away with some scissors. And look how sweet that turns out. Just an upcycled jar and one of those Dollar Tree bases. Okay, next up, I love these plastic eggs. They're so cute for gifting. Let's give one of these a little makeover. I'm doing some chalk paint on the bottom there, and that's gonna be the perfect base for our napkin decoupage. These napkins here are from Walmart. Go ahead and painted some water around the motif, and then I'm using my fingernail to create a torn edge. We're gonna go ahead and tear that out. Beautiful little print. It almost looks hand painted. And then I'm using Mod Podge to attach that down. So just add a little Mod Podge, add your napkin piece on top. For these, they're so tiny, I'm not spritzing it with water, but if you were doing a larger all over design where you weren't cutting out the pieces, you could spritz it with a little water to help with wrinkles. Now go ahead and add your favorite treats in there. This is a really cute little gift box, a great little hostess gift if you're going somewhere for the holiday. Add some ribbon. Look how sweet that is, just like a little Easter gift basket. Okay, let's do one of these bunny rabbit makeovers. I love making over Dollar Tree stuff. Sometimes it's not really the color or the print that I want. So I grabbed 3 of these. These were from the 99-cent store before that was gone. Let's go ahead and trim off everything there. Get rid of those labels, and we're gonna paint that with our chalk paint. I'm painting them with the chalk paint so that the colors of the napkin really pop through. And I'm gonna just distress the edges a little bit to give them a little bit of a folk look. Separating those napkin plies, only using the top printed ply. Here I'm adding Mod Podge to the top, and then I'm misting my napkin with a little bit of water, and that's gonna help with the wrinkles and make it really nice and smooth. Although in this situation, if you had some wrinkles, it could be pretty cute. This is a nail file. I'm just sanding the edge, and you can see how that napkin is just going to peel away from the edge. And I want to note that I am doing this once this is thoroughly dry. Go ahead and clean up those edges, but look how gorgeous that looks. That's just a paper napkin. Then you can seal with more Mod Podge, and that will just hold that down. Here I'm using a matte, but you could use gloss or satin, whatever you prefer. Now let's add a little bit more of our color to the edge, just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. Again, this is just a personal preference. You don't even have to paint the edges if you don't want to. Gonna go ahead and repurpose that twine that came with it in the little tag, and look how sweet that is. Such a fun little easy idea. Now for our box, this is the perfect size for a napkin holder, for party napkin size. So when I see these at Dollar Tree, I grab them. It's the little wood crate. I'm going to do some napkin decoupage on it with this beautiful Easter egg napkin. It's going to go ahead and Mod Podge that down, getting that into position. These are the perfect size for the little square napkins. And then go ahead and trim those corners and then wrap the rest of the napkin around to the inside and to the bottom. Now I'm just going to add some of that velvet ribbon. The velvet ribbon is from Hobby Lobby, I believe, but you can find that at Michael's also. And go ahead and glue that to the inside. That just finishes that off. And then the little rabbit that I made, we're going to hot glue to the front. And now we've got a really cute little napkin dispenser, or you could put your salt and peppers in here or fill it up with candy, little eggs, make a decor, whatever you want. Such a cute little set. All right, let's do some fabric decoupage. This is an adorable vintage style banner using those wood pieces from Dollar Tree. They're just like a wood egg shape and the wood garland. I'm sure you've seen the beaded garland in the craft department. This is really easy to put together. I love this vintage looking fabric. I can use this with so many different projects. I did a baseball hat with it. I did a little tote bag, but here I'm doing this banner. So we're gonna just roughly cut out the graphic, the size of the little egg, and then I'm gonna add the matte Mod Podge to the egg shape, and then we'll place the fabric right on top of that. We don't need to worry about cutting out the fabric precise right now. We're gonna do that once it's on the egg, and trust me, it's so much easier this way. If you do it the other way, you never can line it up very good. It's already hard enough this way. So once it's dry, we're gonna go ahead with some sharp scissors and cut around the outer edge of that wood shape. And this works for any of those different Dollar Tree wood shapes. They have these seasonally. They're so fun to work with. You can paint them, you can Mod Podge them, you can glitter them, whatever you want. I'm using some scissors to re-poke that hole. And then I'm going to top coat with more of the matte Mod Podge. And that's just going to really seal that fabric down. There is a fabric formula of Mod Podge, but that really works best with fabric to fabric. So in this instance, just using matte, gloss, or satin is going to work perfectly. Give that a good top coat. And then you'll be able to add whatever kind of embellishment on top of that. Here I'm going to use some Mod Podge Sparkle. I'm painting that on with one of my detail paint brushes just to highlight different areas of each design. So here I'm kind of filling in where those little flowers are. It's just wherever you want a little pop of glitter. This is a very fine glitter, so it's not going to be super sparkly, but it's going to highlight everything. It's going to give it a beautiful light sparkle. If you wanted heavy glitter, you would go in, add your Mod Podge, and sprinkle glitter on top of it. This is going to look more like a light vintage dusting. Next, I want to glue down some gems. I use these little tiny micro gems. I collect these from so many different places. I love looking for them at nail supply places. You can get really tiny ones there. They're so cute for that, and I know Dollar Tree even has them sometimes. So let's go ahead and sprinkle some of those out, and then we're just going to glue them down using Mod Podge to highlight whatever areas we want to feature. These are some of those gems that are for diamond painting. They're super lightweight. I love working with those. Now for the edge, let's give it a chunkier look. These are some Aurora Borealis. We're going to go ahead and add our glue along the border there. Now that paintbrush is one of the Mod Podge paintbrushes. That's a set of 10. I absolutely love those. Let's go ahead and border that with these lightweight gems. How sweet is that? I love the vintage look. Now let's turn this into a banner. I'm going to tie 2 of those wood banner pieces together. Those are the strung blocks. I'm just going to make it a little bit longer, tying them together. And then I picked up these ribbons at Dollar Tree too. I love the checker with the lace. Let's go ahead and get that through the hole and do a loop there so that we've got 2 tails. Well, I guess it's 4 tails since I've got 2 pieces of ribbon. Go ahead and pull that through, and then we can tie that off to our piece there. I'm gonna start in the center, tying that to the center, and then I'll work my way to the left and to the right, adding my pieces. I also got some other ribbon. I got some pink to mix in. So just go ahead and give that a nice tie. And then next to it, I'm gonna do the pink and the orange. So I'm just gonna count over and add that next piece with the coordinated ribbons. So go ahead and just tie that on. And again, I'm gonna do equal amounts from the middle to the left and to the right using all of the different pieces. It's really that easy. I'm doing ribbons. You could do twine here. You could do little pipe cleaners, whatever you want. And I'm not doing bows, I'm just doing some knots. And of course I will trim up those edges too, just to make them nice and cute. So just counting over on the left there and adding my next one. These little wood shapes come in all different shapes. I even saw little bunny rabbit ones, but I love this little egg shape. So sweet. It's almost like a little frame for those fabric images. If you wanted to add something in between, you could add little bows, or you could glue other little embellishments, or even little Easter eggs. Look how sweet that turns out. Okay, let's add some paper flowers just to finish the tops off. I'm gonna hot glue a little paper flower there. You could add a gem, you could add a pom-pom, a little bow, whatever you want. I'm just gonna do a little scrapbooking flower. I just absolutely love how this turns out. This fabric is so sweet, such a cute design. Now I'm planning to hang this on my mantle, but you could do this across a window. You could do it on a wall. This is a really fun idea if you want to make a customized birthday banner even. So I'm doing the Easter fabric here, but you could do this for any season or celebration. Just trimming those ends to give it a little bit of a polished look. And let's take a look at all of the different designs. Such cute little vintage Easter images. If you didn't have fabric, you could certainly do scrapbook paper here as well. All right, next let's do an easy centerpiece. This is going to be with napkin decoupage. I found this great old tin milk jug design, so cute, and it's going to be really great with our paper napkin. So I'm starting by painting it with some Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in white, and that's just gonna be so that the colors of our napkin really pop through. I'm separating the plies of the napkin. I'm only using that top printed ply. This is just some water on a detail paintbrush. I'm gonna paint that around my image, and then I'm using my fingernail to tear the image out. That will give it a feathered edge and it will blend better. This is the Mod Podge satin. It's my preferred formula for home decor projects. So I just added it to our little watering milk jug can there, and I'm placing the napkin right on top. If you were worried about wrinkles, you could give this a little spritz with water. I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers to smooth that into position. And I'm just flattening that as I go and smoothing out any wrinkles. You could also use a piece of cling wrap on top of this, and that will help you smooth out wrinkles. You would just discard the cling wrap afterwards. So let's add a little bit more to the top there, and you can see I'm using my fingers to smooth that in. Now I've sped that up so it does look like I'm pushing hard, but I'm pushing very gently. And then I'm wrapping the napkin to the bottom there and going ahead and sealing that down. Look how sweet that turns out. It's so cute. So I added some little polka dot trim to the top there just to finish it off. And I did some painted polka dots too. Now I'm just doing some Q-tips there. So I'm just painting those dots. Really simple, just to fill in. And I matched that pink to the pink in the bunny. And then gluing down that trim. I love that little pom-pom bubble edge. So sweet, vintage looking. Just hot gluing that down and then adding a little bow up there. Such a simple way to make a cute centerpiece. Let's add some of our greenery. Now this would work for real flowers and water. Because it is sealed at the bottom, you are able to fill this type of canister with water. But I'm just doing some silks here. All right, let's do some eggs. I'm gonna go ahead and paint it with that same white paint. And for this one, I'm gonna cut out the motif of this really pretty napkin. I've used this napkin for so many different projects. I really love the colors and I think it looks so pretty, like a hand painted. So easy, look how gorgeous those turn out. I'm not sure which one is my favorite. Next, we're going to do another fun project using eggs. This is going to be napkin decoupage, but I'm going to turn them into floral pics. So I've grabbed some of these plastic eggs and this really cute bunny napkins. I'm separating the plies, of course, and for this I'm going to use the matte Mod Podge. We're going to use that same water technique where I'm going to brush around the motif and then tear the napkin. This is my favorite, getting that feathered edge. It really does make the decoupage seamless. It's very pretty. Go ahead and get that bunny torn out. I believe these napkins were from Home Goods. I'm a little bit of a napkin junkie, so when I'm out there shopping, I'm always looking for cute napkins. Now for this, we're just going to go ahead and add our Mod Podge directly to the egg. Place that down. These are plastic eggs. They came in that brown carton, so they look like they're real eggs, but they are not. But I'm going to use that carton as a drying rack, and look how sweet they are, just like this. You could use them for display, but let's turn them into pics. This is so fun for doing floral arranging. So first, I'm going to glitter them. I'm using that same Mod Podge around the motif, and I've got some of this white chunky glitter. This is kind of a clear glitter, so it's almost like that vintage glass glitter. You can see how really pretty that is. It's subtle, but it's very beautiful and sparkly. You could use fine glitter here also, but I kind of like that really chunky look because this has got a little bit of a vintage vibe going on. So we'll let those dry. And those would be beautiful too, just on display. Of course, we're gonna glitter the backside. Go ahead and add more glitter there. And let those dry, and look how sweet they are. You can just use them in any of your little arrangements or sitting at a table, but let's turn that into a pic. Okay, I just poked a hole in the bottom of the egg. Now I'm gonna add a bamboo skewer. You could also use one of those plant stakes here, but I get these skewers at the Dollar Tree. I'm gonna go ahead and add some glitter to this design also. It's actually a little bit easier having that stick there to hold the egg in place. Tap off my extra, and then you can see that I'm going to add just a little drop of glue there. That's going to secure that in place. You can also add a bow there or a little paper flower, whatever you want. I'm going to do some of this trim going around it. I really want that vintage vibe here. This really makes me think of those old sugar eggs, if you know what I'm talking about, where you would make them with real eggs. You would blow the egg and add a little diorama kind of to the inside. Go ahead and glue that trim there. But you could do any kind of ribbon here that you wanted to. You could even add gems, paper flowers, any of those little embellishments. These turn out so fun. I'm going to repeat that same checker ribbon that I used on the banner. That's that Dollar Tree ribbon. I love the orange. So cute, so easy to make. And then you can just add these to any of your floral projects. Here I'm just going to add them to these silk plants, and I'm going to place this right in my window. I absolutely love how easy this project is. Next, we're going to do some pressed flower Easter eggs. You can buy pressed flowers at a variety of places. Some craft stores have them in stock. Of course, you can make your own, and you can order them online. First, I'm going to paint the craft eggs with some white paint. If you wanted a more natural look, you certainly could skip this and do it straight onto the craft color. And you can paint these any color you want. Pastels work the best. Here's a selection of my flowers I'm going to be using, and you can see I've got some greenery. Having a pair of tweezers, bent edge tweezers, is going to be helpful for this project because they are so delicate. It's really easy to pick them up with the tweezer and place them right onto the egg. Then I'm going to go on top of it with the Mod Podge. You can use gloss matte or satin here. I'm using the gloss and I'm using a small paintbrush. You don't want to press too hard because you don't want to pull the leaves. These are real flowers. If you're having trouble locating the real flowers, you could certainly cut flowers out of scrapbook paper or even out of magazines and catalogs. Gonna go ahead and add some of my Mod Podge there. You can see how easy it is. Add that greenery and I'm going right on top of it. So for these eggs, I did them in a series where I would add some of the pieces, let it dry a little bit, then I would move on to another egg, adding more pieces down, and then I would go back to the eggs and add more. It's much easier this way. They're easier to handle if you have a little dry time in between. Look how absolutely stunning these turn out. These are beautiful to make and display, but these make great gifts too. Next, we're going to be working with some much larger eggs, some Dollar Tree plastic eggs, and I'm going to be covering them with rope and napkins. This is one of my all-time favorite projects. So I've got some chunky rope here. I'm using an all-over print napkin and satin Mod Podge. I'm going to hot glue. You can see I've got my hot glue finger helper there. Hot glue the rope all over the egg, working in a spiral pattern. So I've got two smaller eggs and one of those large jumbo Dollar Tree eggs. So I'm just gluing that in a circular pattern with hot glue all the way around the egg, even the base. Very, very easy to do, very forgiving project. Now for this one, I'm going to do napkin decoupage on top of it. I love that texture popping through. As usual, I'm separating the plies of the napkin, just using that top printed ply. Now this cotton rope does soak in a lot of the Mod Podge, so you are going to have to be generous here and make sure that you really get it in those nooks and crannies. So I'm using a wider brush. Just place your napkin right on top, first pressing with my fingers, then going in with my brush gently. I'm not pushing too hard, and I'm really getting the napkin in between those grooves. That's how you get that texture to really pop. It's such a gorgeous look. We'll seam that up in the back, but for right now, let's concentrate on getting a really pretty front. So I'm going to trim away the extra. This will have a backside. Even the most seasoned decoupage person is going to have a seam back there. So we're going to add more of our Mod Podge, and then we'll wrap those two edges to the middle and the top and the bottom to the backside. Still working that in with the brush. You can see how pretty this turns out. Now this is a cotton rope that I'm using. I think that does work best. There are some polyester ones out there, or I should say nylon ones. And those, the Mod Podge does not stick as well. So the cotton rope is going to be the best. Look how cool that turns out. Okay, I've got that large one there. And for this one, I wanted to do an accent color. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that with some chalk paint. This is pre-mixed chalk paint. You could certainly mix your own. You could use just any acrylic paint here also. I kind of wanted that matte look of the chalk paint. And it did take a couple of coats to really get into all the nooks and crannies, but I think it was worth it because I love how rich that color turned out. So next I'm just going to add some of that velvet ribbon that I love and add some silk flowers to finish it off. But you could do anything that you wanted here. You could add a little moss base. You could add the little bunny rabbits, some carrots. So I'll just glue down my floral pieces. This is beautiful for a buffet or a mantle, and it makes a great centerpiece too. Everyone's always asking what to make with those large plastic eggs from Dollar Tree, and I think this just looks spectacular. Okay, next let's work on a gift-giving Easter idea. This is one of those exploding surprise Easter gift boxes. Look how cool this turns out. It's so easy to do, you just won't even believe it. I'm starting with a Dollar Tree box. You want to have a square box and one that has a lid that pops off. We're going to cut down the 4 sides of the box. I'm just using a craft knife here. You could use some heavy-duty scissors. We're going to cut down each of those sides so that you've got 4 flaps. I'm just trimming that up to make it a little bit neater and getting rid of some of those raw edges. For this design, I'm gonna wrap them with scrapbook paper. I've got 2 different prints, and I'm just measuring off the flap. You can just make a little pencil line there, measure that off. You want it to wrap around from the front and to the back side. The flap is gonna be seen on both sides. So you can see I've got my paper here, give it a little crease, and then I will wrap it to that side. So we will Mod Podge that down. Gonna use some satin Mod Podge, just add it to the back of the paper. You could use any glue that you want here, but this is gonna really give it a nice finished look on the front. It'll be sealed, it'll look seamless on the front. Go ahead and add that to the back. And then we will place it right onto the flap. Remember, the outside of the box is gonna be what's most visible. Then wrap that around to the back, and then wrap that and seam that up. Now I'm just gonna trim off the top to make it polished. So for this, I'm gonna do the 2 plaids across from each other. So I've got one there and one there. And then on the other sides, I'm gonna do that Easter egg paper. You could do this same technique using fabric if you wanted to. You could also use wrapping paper. This is so cute for Easter, but really this is great for any gift giving, any kind of birthday. These are really fun. I love making these boxes. Go ahead and glue that there. You can see how the box is taking shape. Now for the candy, hot glue does not work great because you're gonna melt your chocolates. You could use tape runners. You could use those tape dots like I used for the first candy. Just go ahead and tape your candies to the inside flap, but make sure that you are keeping it on the flap and making enough room for any kind of thing that you're gonna put on the inside. For this, I'm gonna do a little stuffy on the inside. You just fold up those flaps, and that's how it's gonna fit together. For the top, I wanna add some silk flowers. If you guys have been following me for very long, you know I love my silk flower embellishments. So let's just go ahead and hot glue some silk flowers to the top. Got these cute little blue ones we can pop in. Those match our paper really well. Just make a cute little motif. Then go ahead and fold up your flaps and add your lid, and your gift is good to go. Such a transformation for one of those Dollar Tree boxes. I just love how this turns out. Surprise! Look how cute. Wouldn't you love to get one of these? I know I would. They're really fun to make, but they are also really fun to give. All right, let's do some carrot napkin decoupage. I fell in love with these napkins. These were from Home Goods. Here's a little tip for separating. Use a little piece of tape. Add tape to the back side, and then it makes a little handle for peeling up and separating your napkins. It makes it so simple. Once you have your napkins separated, you can either cut out your motif. This is a great method if you want that hard edge. And some people love that hard edge. I prefer a feathered edge, but that's what it's like if you have the hard edge, the hard cut edge. For the feathered edge, you're just gonna dip a brush into some water, paint around the design, and then you're going to tear that, and that'll create the feathered edge. And the feathered edge to me just blends into the project so much easier. Let's go ahead and tear that. These carrot napkins, they're absolutely stunning. They sort of remind me of the old, I think Beatrix Potter, is that her name? Those drawings. You can tear those edges. It's just a really cool look. Now for this, I'm gonna do it on a store-bought Easter basket. This came yellow. I'm gonna use the Mod Podge satin, and it does have a little bit of a distressed look on it, which I thought would be cool with these carrot napkins. This is so easy to do. I'm just using these slats on the basket, adding my Mod Podge there, and then I'm adding my piece of napkin. And you can see there it's kind of got those rough edges hanging over. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you how you wrap that around in just 1 second. Let's go ahead and add our napkin piece. I'm gonna spritz this with a little bit of water. That just helps with wrinkles. Some napkins are a little bit more wrinkly than others. It's a little bit trial and error. Go ahead and place that into position, using my finger just to smooth and tap that down. And then we'll let that dry before we do the next step, before we go on to wrapping it around the slat. each one of these baskets is a little bit different, so this is a place where you can just get creative. Let's add a little top coat, and that will glue that down. Now for those edges, you can see here on this one that's been drying, I'm going to go ahead and add a little Mod Podge behind it, and then I'm just using the brush to tuck those raw edges behind that slat. The Mod Podge is going to dry perfectly clear, so even if you get it on the basket or anywhere else, it's no big deal. Go ahead and add a little bit more, and let's get the other side down. This works on almost any kind of basket. It's such a fun way to make a custom look. Again, I'm doing some Easter themes here, but you could certainly do this for the Christmas holiday season, even Valentine's if you're making a little boo basket. Oh, I guess that's a Halloween basket. A boo basket, you could do Halloween napkins. I was thinking boo as in boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't know what they call the Valentine ones. Look how sweet though. Okay, let's do this fun wreath. This is one of those green floral wreaths. I painted it white, and I'm going to use those same napkins on this wreath. I did one of these for 4th of July that really looks cool with 4th of July napkins. This is one of my favorite little wreath cheats if you want something simplistic and not all the greenery. So you're going to go ahead and just napkin decoupage the carrots to the wreath base. Again, this wreath base came from Dollar Tree. It was green to start. I painted it white. You want to paint it a light color so that the colors of the napkin pop through. Go ahead and top coat as we go. And I'm just going to keep adding the carrots around. Just going all the way around the ring. I'm doing my carrots kind of going in the same direction, and then just working around it. Adding more Mod Podge there. Go ahead and add my napkin piece down. This is really cute for any season. So this will be my center point. So I'll have my carrots go from the left going that direction and from the right going that direction. To finish it off, I added some twine and I added some little silk carrots and eggs there. You can see how cute that turns out, and it's so easy to put together. The twine I just wrapped around in like a little 3 sections and hot glued it as I went. Gorgeous, easy napkin decoupage wreath. So simple to do, and it turns out so cute. All right, let's make some eggs. I was talking earlier about that natural look, so I want to show you what that looks like on a natural egg. I'm just adding the Mod Podge, and then I'm going to put the little carrot napkin right on top of the egg. It really looks beautiful. It's got that old farm look. Very sweet. I'm using my fingers just to press that down. You can go in and clip it, and that will help with the curves on the egg. The napkins are very forgiving, so if you overlap it a little bit, it's just going to add to the charm and the cuteness. Just keep adding your Mod Podge and pressing down. And that's what it looks like when it's dry. So beautiful. Okay, let's make a hop sign. This sign, I added the napkin decoupage to the bottom, but I want to quickly show you how I did an egg shape for that O. I'm just adding some Mod Podge around the outer edge, and then I'm going to dip it into chunky gold glitter. For the H and the P, I just got some wood craft letters and I painted those green, but I really wanted to do this cute egg O. I saw this at a sign at one of the stores and they had painted an egg for the O, and I thought we can do that, but let's do it with glitter. So I'm tapping that in. We'll tap off the extra and then we will glitter the front of it with that same gold chunky glitter. Getting rid of my extra there. Of course, I'll funnel that back into my jar and take a look at how it looks when it's finished. Super cute. Okay, for these paper mache bunnies, I wanted to add some sparkle. I hope you can see that sparkle good. That is the Mod Podge Mega Glitter formula. So you could do Mega Glitter or you could do the sparkle formula here. You could also just add Mod Podge and sprinkle glitter on the same way we just did that Easter egg O. But for this, I painted it white, and then I'm just painting this right on top. I'm sorry, that camera's a little bit bright. The light's a little bit bright. It's like white on white on white. But look how sweet those turn out. You could do a little patch of those. All right, let's do one of these candy dishes. This is a really fun clay pot craft. It looks like a bubblegum dispenser. You could certainly put bubblegum in there. We're gonna paint with our favorite Folk Art Home Decor chalk, a clay pot, and then separating the napkins, we're gonna add a napkin directly to the pot. Only working with that top printed ply. Such a pretty, pretty print. Okay, for this, we're gonna add our Mod Podge directly to the pot. Just gonna place that down. For this, you do have to piece it because we've got that wide edge and the narrow edge. Let's go ahead and place it down, wrap it around, and then we will piece that back section together once we get the front part down. You'll see what I mean when we get into the making. So we can go ahead and trim that top part off. If you had a really large piece of tissue paper, you might be able to fit all the way around the pot. If not, you will have to piece it together. So let's go ahead and trim off the extra, but we're gonna leave about a 1-inch overhang for going on the inside. So just trim that down. And I always keep my napkin scraps the same way I keep my fabric scraps. You might be able to use this to piece it in the back if it's large enough. If not, it's definitely good for another project. For this, we will add the Mod Podge directly to the pot. We're going to use the matte Mod Podge. And we're going to spritz our napkin with a little bit of water. Again, that helps with the wrinkles. You don't want it to be too saturated, just a very light mist. Wrap that up onto the pot. You can use the brush or your hands to smooth that down and really just tap it down, make sure it's very secure. We will top coat the whole thing. Wrap the bottom to the bottom, and you can wrap the top into the inside upper lip. You're not going to see that lip, but it's nice just to have it finished off. You won't see inside, I guess I should say. Then let's add some more Mod Podge there and piece our little section onto the back. You can trim as needed. And all over prints work best for this since you are going to have to piece it together. To create the entire design, you're going to napkin decoupage on a saucer with the same print, and then you're going to glue together an embellishment on top. I've got a glass vase that we glued to the upside down clay pot, and now you can see it looking like a bubblegum machine. All right, let's make some corker curls. I don't know if you're familiar with corker curls, but we're gonna use Mod Podge Stiffy for that. These are going to be permanently curled ribbons or fabrics. For today's project, I found this cute dish towel, so we're going to make our curls with that. First, I'm going to cut out this bunny rabbit, and I'm going to decoupage that onto the front of a 2-part container. I saw this container and I thought this would be really cute to serve wine at an Easter brunch. So I want to decorate this as kind of a wine or water bottle holder. I'm going to do a flower arrangement on the left side. So let's go ahead and decoupage down our little bunny pieces that we cut out of the dish towel. This would be so sweet if you had that dish towel hanging in the kitchen and then you had this on the table. And those are the corker curls. We're going to take the rest of the fabric and cut it into strips. I'm not even measuring. And now this is parchment paper. I'm wrapping that around a dowel rod. That's a 1-inch dowel rod. We're going to staple that on the ends. Stapling is going to work best here. Tape, it won't stick very well because that's parchment paper. I have an old container and I'm going to add the Mod Podge Stiffy to the container. I am going to shake and mix that Stiffy really well before I add it. So we'll add it into small bits. I'm just going to use a little bit to start. And then we're going to dip our strips of fabric that we cut into it. I'm moving it through my fingers to remove the excess. You want it to be saturated, but it doesn't need to be drippy, drippy. Okay, we're going to wrap that around to create a curl pattern. You don't want it to overlap, so you can see that little gap there. We're leaving a little gap, but we're wrapping that around. And that is going to dry it dries to the touch fairly quickly in a couple of hours, but I like to just let it sit overnight. And once it's dry, you can peel that away, but you have a permanent curl. These are so cute for floral design. You can turn this into a floral pick, and that's super easy to do. You can see I've got all my curls here, and I cut a little hole in it, and I'm adding that to a bamboo skewer. And then we're gonna just hot glue that into position. So I've kind of got like a little twirly bird there. Now for this, I'm gonna wrap it with some green floral tape. You stretch this tape to get it activated. So I'm just wrapping that around my sticks. I've got 3 different sizes, a tall, a medium, and a short. Let's add a little floral foam in there. Add our little picks. Place it right into one of the sides of our container, and then we can fill that in with some other cute Easter decor. These were some flowers I picked up at Dollar Tree. And then on the other side, we've got a perfect little spot for a wine bottle or a fancy bottle of water. Such a cute little centerpiece, plus it works for your drink. All right, let's do a tiered tray. Have you seen these at IKEA? These are plain glass tiered trays, and we're gonna do fabric decoupage on this. This is not going to be machine washable, but it's definitely hand wipeable. So you're not going to be serving like foods that need a lot of washing, just cookies and candies. All right, here's our 3 tiers. And I found some gorgeous Easter fabric. I love these carrots. We're gonna just cut a piece of that off. And this is going to be reverse decoupage, so we're doing it on the back side. I'm just using a can, an old canned good, just to elevate my plate. First, I'm going to clean that with some rubbing alcohol. The plate is right side down, so I'm working on the back side. I am using the dishwasher safe formula. This will not be dishwasher safe, but this will be helpful when you're hand cleaning this. So go ahead and add that to the entire back side. Then we're gonna place our fabric print side down, smoothing all the way. This is a rounded edge tier. I really love that because it holds in my jelly beans. They don't go flying. Let's go ahead and wrap that and press it really good with your hands, sealing that all the way around. You wanna make sure you get rid of any air bubbles. Then you can top coat with more of the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. Just adding that to the back side still. We're gonna repeat this process on all 3 of the tiers. Once this is dry, we're going to add another layer of the fabric because it's going to be visible from both sides. And for that, we're gonna use fabric Mod Podge because we're gonna be attaching fabric to fabric. So let's trim another piece of our fabric out. I'm going to trim away the edge of the piece we just decoupaged on, and I'm going to trim that very close to the edge. So now for this one, we want to add the fabric Mod Podge to the back side, and we're going to add one more layer of that same fabric. Smoothing again. And this is going to be so beautiful. When it's all put together, you're gonna have that same print on both sides. Really smooth that down. So you can see it popping through and then on the back side. Once it's dry, I trimmed off the edges. And we're gonna go in and really fussy cut and make sure they look very good and really trimmed up. Now I'm going to top coat it with more of the dishwasher safe Mod Podge again. This is not going to be dishwasher friendly, but it will be very hand wash friendly. If you were doing this with paper goods, it's more dishwasher friendly, but for this, I wouldn't trust all of these layers. Let's go ahead and repoke those holes. I'm going to add some trim along that outer edge just to make it a little bit more decorative. If you wanted kind of a vintage vibe, you could use some of that pom-pom trim. That would be so cute. And now let's put the whole tiered tray together. I think this would be absolutely stunning for a dessert table for Easter. You could even do charcuterie on here. Look how sweet that turns out. Let's load this up with some treats. How cute is that? So perfect for your Easter table or your dessert buffet. Next up, I'm going to be doing one of my favorite Dollar Tree makeovers. I'm using those split eggs to create this adorable decor. So you're just going to take those apart, and I'm going to paint the inside of the clear egg using some chalk paint. I like using the chalk paint here because it sticks to the plastic really well. I'm doing 2 nice good coats of it and letting it dry in between the coats. I'm going to do napkin decoupage like you see there on the back side. So I'm using the bunny rabbit and I'm using the floral napkin. I'm going to use a little piece of tape on the back side of the napkin to help me pull apart those layers. We're only going to work with the top printed ply. And if you've made it to this far in this video, you know that I love this napkin. It's definitely a repeater for me. Let's feather out that design. We're going to paint around it. You could do the cutting too if you want, but the feathering edge is my preferred method. So I'm going to go ahead and feather out some of those flowers. Let's go ahead and tear it. And just get that really nice feathered edge that's going to blend so perfectly into our paint. I'm going to use matte Mod Podge for this. So let's go ahead and add our Mod Podge to the inside of the egg. This will be our floral one. So we're going to just add our floral decals. That's our little pieces of our napkin all around the inside. You can see there that it's going over the edge. We're going to trim that up. Go ahead and add more Mod Podge on top. Give that a little trim there. And we'll continue on the inside until the whole thing is filled in. I mean, it really looks like a gorgeous hand-painted egg. Now for the rabbit, we're going to add our Mod Podge all to the inside. Place our rabbit piece down on in. Make sure those ears are good and straight the way we want them. And I'm just lightly tapping with my finger to make sure that it's down. And then let's add some of those flower embellishments to the base. And you can see how these look when they're finished. So cute. So to finish them off, I'm going to glue some trim along that outer edge there using that same little pom-pom trim. Love having a little vintage vibe for Easter. And then we're going to add some moss to the bottom. You can add all sorts of embellishments. I found these really cool little mossy bunnies at Dollar Tree. And I've got some little fake carrots. Those are also from Dollar Tree. And we'll just hot glue all those in. Adding some little flowers there. Look how sweet these look. Now for the base, I found these candlesticks at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some heavy duty E6000 glue and glue those candlesticks to the base of the half egg. Absolutely love how these turned out. So beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for these 25 different Easter decor ideas. I appreciate you being here with me. Have a super crafty week. Bye.